What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Johnny Fandom. Today is part 3 of What If the Weasleys Never Won the Prize Money. So where we left off was Goblet of Fire, and obviously Harry still was entered by Barty Crouch Jr., who in this story actually used the polyjuice potion to play the role of his father and keep his father in the Imperious Curse. Very similar to the original story where his father broke him out of prison and had him and he put his father under the Imperious Curse so he can escape the house. Except this time around, he's not pretending to be Mad-Eye Moody, he's pretending to be his father. So yeah. And because Mad-Eye Moody's not in the picture, Sirius Black would have been the teacher. And Harry's very excited about, having his godfather and his wife and being free. But Dumbledore said that he still has to go back to the Dursleys because of the protection of his mother's blood that would protect him as long as he called a place home. But Sirius does promise he'll get him out as soon as possible. So let's get into Book 5, The Order of the Phoenix, and this video also may be able to finish up. This might be the last video, just because I'm trying to get through it, and there are a few details that should be able to, continue with the rest of this video. Yeah, let's get into it. So, in the original story, we see Dudley and his friends making fun of Harry in the park, and Harry's like, "Shut up," and threatens with the wand, and then the Dementors show up, chase Harry and Dudley down the tunnel, and Harry uses Patronus charm to get rid of the Dementors, and that's when he gets the letter from the ministry saying he's been suspended, blah blah blah, needs to have a hearing, and that whole thing happens. Well, obviously he never ruined the Patronus charm because he didn't need to, because he never saw Dementors until now. Never knew what Dementors were until Fudge was talking about bringing them in for Pettigrew. So he doesn't know how to protect himself. So what happens? Well, obviously, they meant to show up, chase him down the tunnel. Dudley, gets happiness sucked out of him. Harry gets pinned against the wall. He gets happiness sucked out of him, and he doesn't know what to do. He just has no idea what to do. He starts to hear his mother screaming in his head, and I guess they just both die. And that's the end of the story. That's it. That's why this was the last video, because they die. He owes no spell to charm him. He tries to use his wand. He just can't, because all he can hear is his mother scream his head. Dudley's finally dead, and Harry dies. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see part 1 and 2, you can. I'm just kidding. I have a plan. So, with that being aside, individual story, the Dementors show up because with Dungus, Fletcher decides to go sell stolen cauldrons instead of watching Harry. Well, in my story, Sirius, I feel like, would be the one to watch Harry because he obviously doesn't trust Mundungus. So he's watching Harry instead, and he sees that it's coming. He runs into action, uses Expecto Patronum, and a big white dog comes flying out of the end of his wand, smacking the Dementors out of the way. He runs up to Dudley and Harry, makes sure they're okay, helps bring them home, and lets Harry know, I'll be back. Just take him inside. I'll be back. Now, in the Wizarding world, you have a trace, and you can't use magic. That's how Harry gets caught in the original film. Now, the issue with the trace, though, is they can't determine who conjured it. So, if you and me are in a room, and you have the trace on you, and I don't, and I use a spell, all the ministry knows is a spell was done in that area. Now, if it's a Muggle town, and they have no idea that I'm there, and you can't use magic, and I use a spell, they're going to come after you. Now, the issue with this whole thing is like, wizard families aren't going to get in trouble for using, their kids use magic, outside of school, because the parents use magic, and all they see is, magic being used at a certain location. The only issue why Harry would have gotten in trouble is because it was done in a Muggle town, and they know that he is in a Muggle town and all this stuff, and there's not many, wizards in the area, so the fact that magic was used, they immediately jump into action. But that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, Harry still gets in trouble here for using the Patronus charm, even though it wasn't him, it was Sirius, because obviously the Ministry has no idea if Sirius was there. All they know is they got an alert that the Patronus charm was used in a Muggle setting. So Harry still has the hearing, still gets the letter from Hogwarts, still, has to get out of there. So as he's trying to get out of there, instead of the whole crew coming to get him, well, yeah, I figured that still happens. So the Dursleys still go to that garden expo pies that they won or something that Moody had set up, and then we get Moody, Tonks, Kingsley, and I like to think Sirius come to break out Harry and bring him back to the Burrow, not the Burrow, 12 Grimmauld Place. Yes, they still go to Sirius's home in order to start Order of the Phoenix. And now we just go through the film. This film is going to basically play out exactly the same. The only difference is that Sirius is free, so he can easily walk Harry to school at the train and easily say goodbye. But you're probably saying to yourself, well, in the last video you said that Sirius was a professor. Yeah, well, he's not in this one because some people still don't think that he's innocent, even though he was proven innocent, because they don't have Pettigrew, and I'm pretty sure Malfoy probably wrote a letter. My father would hear about this. Draco probably was not happy. Anyway, let's get to school. But before we do, peach, Raze energy, 0 sugars, 0 calories, 0 dyes, and great flavor, great hydration, great focus, everything you could ever want in an energy drink. Raze energy drink is brought to you by Rep Sports. That's REPP Sports. Go to repsports.com and use code Johnny Huey and save yourself 15% off your order. That's right, 15% off. So make sure you go check it out. And they also have some nice, cool dietary supplements, pre-workout mix, hyper sleep packets that you put in a glass full of water, drink before you go to bed, and you wake up feeling refreshed. They also have Raze to go on the go, which is basically the same thing as little packets of powder. Put it in, mix it up, ready to go. And they even have flapjack mix, and that stuff is great. I also have the party cake mix. You put it in a mug, mix it with some milk, put it in for 60 seconds, it cooks it, and you got a nice little energy, low calorie based cupcake that you can enjoy. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So, now we go to school. Obviously, Harry went to the hearing. Everything happened the same. Dumbledore, still shouted at the ministry, said he's not expelled. Dolores Umbridge is obviously there, and Dolores Umbridge is now part of the faculty at Hogwarts. So, like I said, the rest of this book goes off pretty much the same. The only difference is Harry doesn't have to sneak around to talk to Sirius as much. When he goes back for the holidays, Sirius still gives him the mirror, and then Dolores Umbridge starts checking the owls, so Harry can't say certain things, but he can still use the Flu Network and not use the mirror because Sirius doesn't explain how to use it. So Voldemort still gets into Harry's mind, still puts the image of Sirius in his head about the prophecy, because one thing about these what-if scenarios, prophecies have to happen, and people who die in the original story are going to die. If they don't die at the point of their death, they still will have to die, unfortunately. So with that being said, prophecies still exist, obviously. Harry gets tricked to go into the ministry. They find a prophecy. The Order of Phoenix shows up. Big fight happens. And of course, Bellatrix kills Sirius. Sirius falls back into the veil. Voldemort fights Dumbledore. Fudge shows up, realizes he's back, and resigns from office. And then we get into the next books, and basically the rest of the story basically stays the same. Nothing else has changed at this point. Pettigrew still owes Harry a favor for helping him escape on a hippogriff. So in Malfoy Manor, Pettigrew will still basically help Harry escape and then be betrayed so his silver hand would choke him. So all this basically plays out the same. There's nothing else really that changes. The only thing that changes was a few things in between there. But if the Weasleys never went to Egypt, the story would still play out pretty much exactly the same. So, like I said, this is the last video of this series. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button and that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next one. So, if you haven't seen part 1, check out that video right there. If you haven't seen part 2, check out that video right there. And See you guys next time. Oh, and if you haven't already, check out my merch store. Real quick, just want to shout out the Buff Hufflepuff and Mambavella for helping me with this portion of the video of the series. Both of their channels will be linked down below. Go check them out. Thank you so much.